What are thoughts? Um, you'd think that we have maybe an easy answer for that, for something that we live with so much every day, every moment. Um, maybe even when we sleep, you know, with crazy dreams and subconscious thoughts that come up. They're still tricky though. I don't know if you've given it much thought, um, but what I've noticed is we spend a lot of time trying to avoid our thoughts. That's kind of a commonality that I've noticed with a lot of people my age, maybe just in general. Maybe it's a human thing. Like, I'm not exactly sure. Um, but I think a lot of time we spend a lot of our day on our phones, scrolling, eating with YouTube on, um, whatever we kind of can to avoid our thoughts, and then it comes down to going to bed at night and you can't just have YouTube on, and doze off every time. If you do that, and this cascade of thoughts comes in and we're unfamiliar with them, and they feel ruthless and crazy and absurd and stressful, and we can't help but worry or at least feel a little overwhelmed. Even if there's good thoughts, it's kind of like, what do I listen to? What do I do? you know what thoughts are real here, what thoughts are not. um and I think looking at thoughts is really important. And I think that's why meditation is very powerful and can be really helpful for people nowadays, with so much distraction. Like, whether it is just our phone. Like, I know me personally, like, I spend so much time scrolling, watching YouTube. Like, insert blank, Love Island, something. It doesn't really matter. Like, it's habit, and I think it comes from just this unwillingness to look at our thoughts. Like, be like, what are these things? Most of the time we don't have interest in what thoughts are or anything like that. So we just don't really care to even examine them. And I get that. Like, I do. But then at the same time, I don't think we can ignore the thought question of like what they are and then still feel super thrown off by them and confused by them and really disturbed by them. It's like, it's almost like if you feel those things, which I think I can almost say all people do. Like, I most definitely do. And it's like, okay, like, what can we learn from them then? And I think the best way to learn about your thoughts is to immerse yourself and to look at them just by sitting without your phone. Sitting comfortably, lay down, um, keep your back straight, and just close your eyes, open them. It doesn't matter. What you'll notice is thoughts are everywhere. Like, they're coming in and out about what you're doing next, like this thing that happened yesterday, like the weather, like how your back is kind of tweaked, so you just kind of want to adjust a little bit. You're not super comfortable. Should my eyes be open? Should they be closed? Like, and then you start to see these things happen a lot, and you can't do anything. You can't scroll from, you can't go from TikTok to Reels, and distract yourself. You can't, and it's oddly difficult. If you've ever tried it, it's weird. Um, but I think it's extremely profound just sitting with your thoughts, because it can tell you a lot more about yourself than any kind of intuition or assumptions that we have or advice that other people tell us. And I'm not saying to neglect those things at all. Like, I think all of those things actually are very important. Um, but only you can know yourself truly. Do you agree? I certainly think that. If you don't, like, that's okay. But think about that, If you feel really subject to these fears and emotions, someone else isn't going to be able to tell you where your mind is, your experiences, your traumas, your memories. motivations, goals, all of that plays into it. And you know that yourself authentically, you know? And I think one of the most important things about meditation practice, you can just call it sitting practice, you can call it board practice, you know? I see TikToks about monk maxing, you know? You stare at a wall for like 20 minutes and then you go and do work and you're like super locked in, super focused. It doesn't really matter what you call it or how you deem it. You know, there doesn't have to be a religion on top of it, have to be a spirituality or anything like that. It can just be sitting, practice. And what you'll notice is when you do that for some time and you give yourself an anchor like your breath. So when those thoughts are whirling, 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 you, wherever that you is in here, focuses on the breath. And what you'll notice is you can do that while the thoughts are spinning somehow. You can you have the free will to manual breathe. Like if you're watching this, think about manual breathing right now. Like you're just aware of your breath in and out. You can do that while thoughts are happening. And so in the same way, you can hear things around you, you know, somehow while these thoughts are happening. So you're not your thoughts because you're able to focus on your breath and hearing and seeing, and the thoughts are still happening. So we can be kind of relieved that we're not our thoughts, because if we were, we'd be in not good shape. We'd be both super good and super bad. Speaking for myself. So when you anchor yourself like that for a little while, when you're doing this sitting practice, and you just focus on the breath, or choose a different anchor. It could be a tree outside. It could be your wall. It could be a certain quote that you like. Maybe someone that you really care about, their face. You can kind of visualize it, you know? With that anchor is what you'll notice is over time, that you're going to get distracted from it. So you're going to focus on your breath, or whatever the anchor is, and the thoughts are just going to go, and you're going to get super carried into this whirlwind again. Until you bring it back to you're like, oh, shoot, like my breath. Yeah, all right. Oh, whirlwind, whirlwind, whirlwind craziness, right? And so that's the practice. It's just maintaining your awareness and your attention on the breath. And this is shamatha practice. Um, Not to label it, I don't need to label it, but there are different types of meditation. So it's should be important to say that this is calming meditation. It's to help you feel calm with your thoughts. The skill that's being built is being able to focus on that anchor for a long time without getting carried up in the whirlwind. And what you'll notice is that the whirlwind will start to happen and you're just looking at it. You're not caught up in it anymore. If it was a river, you're not drowning in the rapids. You're kind of on the bank, on the side, and going like, holy smokes. Like those are crazy thoughts. And that's where this transformation starts to happen, where you start to be like, holy crap, like no matter how strong those thoughts are or what the content is in that river, it could be super bad or super good. You start to realize that you're separate from that. And so you're not carried away anymore by those thoughts. And this progression takes a while and it takes practice. It's like working out, you know, you have to start small, but it's really important to do. And you can change your anchors too. So like maybe once you get really good at focusing on your breath, you keep your attention on the breath despite the whirlwind, craziness, change it to what you hear or choose something that you can look at and kind of just glance at and just be like, and let thoughts come in. You need that anchor point for those thoughts to not really carry you away. And I really encourage you to just try this. And it's special because you can do it anywhere. Like you can do it when you're just by yourself, when you have free time. But you can also do it at school, at work. Um, if you're an athlete, you can do it at practice. Just focus on your breath a little bit when your brain is getting crazy, you're overthinking. You know, you can do this at any time. Like, so long as you're in this body and you have yourself, like, you can do that. You just have to remember that's like a tricky part. That awareness, the knowingness that knows my thoughts are crazy, you have to be able to recognize that. Or else you're just in the river. You're just in the whirlwind. You don't even know that you're in it. You're just getting caught up in it. You know? It's like you're blind until you step out of it, using that awareness, knowing that those thoughts are crazy. And then you're like, oh, shoot, wait, okay, all right. Like, they're still intense. Like, they're not any better. They're not any different, but I'm not caught up by them. And that's the peace that follows it. It's not from steering those thoughts to only good thoughts or only bad thoughts. Trying to steer the car. You can't. You can't. You can try for a long time, and I think people do. Um, but that's not the goal. That's like this way. This way is just saying, I'm gonna let them be crazy. They're gonna come up no matter what. But guess what? I'm separate from them. So no matter what the content is, good or bad, it's not gonna affect me as much. I'm just aware of them. And so I hope that this has been helpful for you, and being able to witness the benefits of sitting with yourself and starting easy meditation in everyday life.